Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into this episode of the Payoff Pitch live. Not every day, but most days. Most days, every day.
Kind of sounded like Christopher Walken there. Live.
11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll talk today's baseball slate. We'll, of course, give you guys props and money lines and run lines and overs and unders and all that good stuff. And we're, of course, powered by BetUS, a fantastic sports book. Down in this video description, you can go ahead and find a link that'll jump you over them. You can go ahead and check them out and see how great they are. Hey, let's jump into this first inning. Get Squirrel's opening thoughts. We call it quick hits. What's on your mind this morning, Squirrel?
Well, I don't think I can recall a day recently, anyway, that I felt the want, not the need, but the want, to take so many run lines on a day. As you get to the back half of a season, I've noticed this in the last 2 years in the NHL. You notice this, I guess, now in the last 2 years as well in the MLB. The good teams are identified, right? We know who the good teams are. We know who most likely the candidates for a World Series contender are, Stanley Cup, and what happens to those odds. They're high juice, and so it makes you steer away from a money line. And you really have to kind of become even more selective than you already were. With that being said, though, I have a great spot where I'm going to be putting and sharing with you, as everything is free now for the Hockey Squirrel and on the website until September 15th, which marks preseason hockey. I'm giving it all away for free, and I have a nice 1.5 unit play that I'm comfortable making today due to some systems, money distribution, all of that, and we will get to it. What do you have going on today?
Love the sound of that. Well, I got to apologize. I'm usually fully prepared. Obviously, we didn't do this show for the past 2 days. I was in Kalamazoo. I just got back like an hour ago, so I've got bets.
I've had days like that anyway.
Terrible.
And
I know. I feel terrible to the viewing audience. I feel terrible, so I
you're
apologize.
You have to give a refund to all these people for their free tips.
I'm going to make up for it. You know how I'm going to make up for it, though? Back-to-back sweeps. Back-to-back sweeps. We're bringing out the brooms just like we brought out the brooms yesterday. We'll bring them out again today.
I know you said you're a little unprepared. Are you leaning towards any NRFIs today?
Yeah, I had time. I did, research while the car was moving before the kids woke up in the hotel. And
at every stoplight.
Yeah. So I actually do have a Nerfy of the day, and it got my money. So now it's not a lean today. It's actually a real bet that I plan on giving out. So, hey, let's just jump on into it. Why don't you kick off the show? You're probably a little more prepared than I am.
Sure thing.
We each take 2 games. We call it around the bases here in the second inning. Let's see which one game Squirrel wants to kick off the show with.
I know you said the same thing I said, and that is, hey, who the hell is Hunter Gaddis? He's pitching for the Cleveland Guardians today. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at his game log. I didn't really look at his game log because I don't think he's pitched anything. I just saw topically a 0 ERA and a 0-0 record, so I would assume he hasn't pitched. And he hasn't. So set to start Friday. Gaddis will start today's game against the Astros. Looks like an MLB debut. His rise to the ranks, I guess, A+, AA, AAA. Numbers aren't too bad, to be honest with you, but again, I love to bet against pitchers or goaltenders that are debut players because there's a whole nother caliber of, competition, right? The opposition is a higher quality opponent. You have nerves of making that major league debut. And so I think that's going to be a very tall order for this kid coming into the league as a 24-year-old pitcher to go against one of the league best in Framber Valdez. I don't know if you had seen this, but Sandy Alcantara just broke the tie between Framber Valdez and himself for, I think, the most completed games. Alcantara went the whole 9 innings the other day. But Framber is another guy that I think, you would expect to go deep. He's got a 2.8 ERA. Excellent stuff in the last couple of years as well. I took notice of him last year on the mound, and I think he does very well. Another reason for the run line, you get an away favorite, which significantly helps statistically cash the run line. The rate between a home favorite and an away favorite is about an 8 or 9% spread on the run line. So, where you may only expect 52 or 53%, as a home favorite, due to the bottom of the ninth inning there, ties, extra innings where you need a walk-off home run to cash it. This way you might expect more closer to 60, 61, 62%. So a pretty significant edge there in statistics anyway, or historical systems. And you would have to believe that all the money would be on the Houston Astros as well. There would be something significantly wrong there if it was not. So I think that's a fairly safe bet to make today as an away favorite on the Houston Astros. That line is currently minus 125.
All right, let's go Houston Astros. Let's jump it over to the NL Central. Let's talk some Reds and Brewers. How about Reds? F5 team total over 1.5 runs can be had at minus 120. Should be a bet that's very, very familiar to you guys. We cashed this bet on Monday. We cashed this bet on Tuesday. Why did we make it those 2 days? Reds are hot versus left-handers, and they are still hot versus left-handers. So we're just going to keep riding that train and see if they can't cash another bet versus left-handers. Again, they're hot versus left-handers in the top 10 offense in all the major categories that I talk about on the daily episode here on the Payoff Pitch. And they've seen Eric Lauer earlier on this season, and they got a cash versus Eric Lauer in that performance earlier this season. So give me that hot offense versus left-handers. Obviously, they traded away some pieces at the trade deadline, but they still are crushing left-handed pitching like they've been doing all season. I'll take that Reds F5 team total over 1.5 runs at minus 120. Let me jump into another bet here for my second game. Let's do Rockies and Diamondbacks. Rockies F5 team total over 1.5 runs at minus 140. Admittedly, they are not hot right now versus left-handers. They're only sitting about league average, but I'm going to take my chances because they've got Madison Bumgarner on the mound for the Diamondbacks. This is going to be the second time they've seen him, and second time within a month, I should say. The first time they saw him was July 9th. What happened on July 9th? This bet cash. It was at Arizona. It was not at Colorado, so same place today. Look, they're going to have just as much, if not more, success up against Madison Bumgarner the second time around, seeing him within a month for that time. And again, they're not hot right now versus left-handers, but they're good enough to where I think the stats could justify it against Madison Bumgarner. So I'll do that Rockies F5 team total over 1.5 runs at minus 140. What's your second game you want to talk about?
Well, in terms of pitchers, once again, as you go down the board and you take a look, I said Robert Duggar. Who?
Duggar?
Who?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of this is what you get in August and September after the trade deadline. But yeah.
Sure. And hey, man, who is one of the worst bullpens in the league?
Reds.
Cincinnati Reds, right. And you throw in some sketchy starting pitching with some really sketchy bullpen. I literally just said why I don't like home favorites as much is because you get to the back half of that game, or especially as you approach the ninth inning. And, a trend I've really been noticing a lot lately, how many extra inning games have we been seeing? It feels like every game I turn on nowadays, just like we're in the 10th or 11th, just sweating constantly. I don't know why that is, but, it can be a top tier team against one of the bottom of the board teams. And here we are in the 10th inning again, damn near every game. I don't know. I mean, for that reason, I don't generally like home favorites. However, when you're going against that terrible of a quality of starting pitcher and bullpen in Robert Duggar and the Reds, I don't expect too much. Then they have to go into Milwaukee. You're getting a price point of minus 110 to win by 2. I'm not risking a minus 230 here, but I do feel fairly comfortable at least on a home team run line. I think I might have had a system or two on it as well that came in at some 70, 80%. I don't quite remember off the top of my head, but I do know that I like fading the Reds and from a bullpen perspective.
This could be a great game for an over. You maybe do the full game over. You're going to look at over. I'm expecting the Reds to hit the left-hander and Lauer. The Brewers right now have the second best batting average versus right-handed pitching. You're getting this guy Duggar on the mound, who's obviously not very good. Maybe this is a good spot for an F5 over. An F5 over and over 4.5. I would like that angle there in Reds versus Brewers.
I don't think Lauer's overly elite by any means. I mean, there's potential that he gives up a few runs. I mean, he's not a Tony Gonsolin or something like later I'm going to be talking about, where I expect very few runs from a player like that. But yeah.
All right, let's shut up and give these guys some pitching props. That's what we do here in Shut Up and Pitch here in the third inning. Let me kick it off. I'm going to mention two guys here.
Mitch Keller.
I'm going to mention Zach Greinke. Boy, we've been
Okay.
riding this Zach Greinke under 1.5 walks. We've been playing it as a single play. It's back to a parlay piece. It's back to a parlay because the juice is at minus 260. So just wanted to mention that. I don't quite have something to parlay it with. Just make sure you're following me on Twitter. By the time we get anywhere close to first pitch, I'll have parlayed Zach Greinke with under 1.5 walks. And we can't end this show without talking about our guy, Mitch Keller. He's had 17 starts. We've bet all 17. We've cashed 14 of his 17 starts. Those 3 losses, though, have come in the last 2 weeks, unfortunately. So we're running in a little bit of a cold stretch. I can't quite find the right angle as of now yet to push the button with Mitch Keller. Again, I've been pushing the wrong buttons here lately. The Orioles, they sit about middle of the pack, 22.1% strikeout rate versus right-handers. They've got his number at 4.5. The thing I like versus the Orioles is they are red hot right now in hitting right-handers. So I do Mitch Keller hits allowed at over 5.5, or do I take a stab, which is at like minus 140, or do I just go right to a plus money bet, the ones that I love, F5, team total over 2.5 runs, at plus 110. Orioles top 10 right now versus right-handers. All right, I haven't got a bet yet for Mitch Keller, the cash cow, or Zach Greinke, cash cow 1B. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. I'm going to be betting both of these guys a little bit later on. You got any guys on the mound you're targeting?
Yeah, how about Dean Kramer of the Baltimore Orioles going against the number 1 strikeout team, the Pittsburgh Pirates? I guess on the flip side of that game with Mitch Keller, the line seems a little lower than Eric Lauer's, and you're getting a higher strikeout team and fairly similar results in the strikeout category, at least between the two pitchers. The line is only, I think, 4.5 strikeouts over under. I would take him to go over 4.5 strikeouts at minus 105 against, at least in the last couple of weeks here. I think I'm in the last couple of weeks of, I saw like a 29% strikeout rate for Pittsburgh. I just boiled it down to the last 2 weeks, 25%. I guess maybe season long they might be up there. They're like at least top 1 to 5, depending on what time range you're looking at them. But Dean Kramer has a pretty similar game log in terms of strikeouts as Eric Lauer does. And like I said, Eric Lauer, not, I guess, the most top tier, I think he'll do the job for today, but there's significantly better pitchers on the Milwaukee Brewers to look at, as like Corbin Burns and such, that you'd probably be more comfortable on strikeout prop with. I'll go ahead and back Dean Kramer anyway, over 4.5 for minus 105.
Okay, cool. Like that right there. Let's go ahead and move it now to long shot. There's some dogs on the board that we think have some bark. Why don't you go first, and I'm going to look through the list and try and figure out off the top of my head which dog I think
you might have got me on this one. I don't know if I have a long shot. Let me look through the long shots. I know that there's a lot of, there was a lot of steam coming in on the Washington Nationals yesterday. The game got delayed, I believe, due to probably weather. Finished in the bottom of the 5th inning. It was 4-5 games, so they never got to really finish that game. And I was kind of upset about that in a way, because I kind of wanted to see how that would have played out. But once again, today, there's a lot of steam coming in once again on the Washington Nationals. So it may be a place to look. I don't think I have any... What?
I don't know. Just not laughing at any of your analysis, just laughing at people like betting a depleted Nationals team. I don't know.
Oh.
I mean, not that
okay.
The Phillies
it was 4-5 yesterday in the 5th inning. I mean, I don't think you can count anything out right now. I mean, we just watched minus 370 lose with Jacob deGrom the other day. And that was a no way Jose possible, like they couldn't lose. I think anything goes at this point right now. I think we need to stop basically searching for logical solutions to things. Maybe look at some of these illogical type of things, just tipping you off as to where some of the money would be. I do, however, have some crazy underdog systems, and I do think there's 3 of them I have that are all profitable systems. However, they are only winning around 40% of the time, but due to the odds in general, they are actually profitable. This isn't a huge underdog, but it comes in on the San Diego Padres today. Not that I really want to go against Tony Gonsolin. Not that I want to go against the Dodgers and think that the Padres are actually going to win. I just historically have three systems that happen to land on the Padres today. I don't know, man. I mean, in terms of plus money, I tried to take a shot on the Twins yesterday. It was 2-3 until the eighth inning, and the Blue Jays absolutely blew it open. I don't know. Do you trust Tyler Mahle? He got traded to the Twins now against Jose Barrios. It might be an okay matchup for today, plus 105. I don't know, though. I think the heavy favorites are really dominating, and like I said, the good teams have been identified. So I think you're just going to see significantly higher and higher juice, and it forms these opinions that these teams cannot lose, right? The Nationals are depleted. They cannot possibly win. But if I gave you plus 2,000 odds, is it a valuable bet whether they win or lose? Yes, there's value there.
Nice. You mentioned my dog while you were sitting there talking. I like the Twins and going through this. I like the Twins. I like taking a new guy, making his first start for a new team. And we're not just taking a new guy. Actually, Mally's halfway decent in his own right. Yeah, I like everything about this Twins team. Like the way they made some bullpen moves in the trade deadline. Yeah, I like the Twins. It's a small dog at plus 105 at home against the Blue Jays. Yeah, I can get behind the Twins. Today is my favorite long shot.
You're looking at some small steam moves. You're looking at some pretty 50-50 distributions in terms of money. 44% of bets, 54% of money on the Twins. So it's not outstanding like this huge discrepancy in terms of distributions. But again, a slight favorability towards the Twins.
All right, let's keep it moving here to the fifth inning. We call it keep swinging. We'll try and give you guys some hitting props. Boy, this inning really irritates me. I was on fire in this inning in terms of leans. Remember, I was catching 3-4 in a row. What did I do on, was it Tuesday? I added it to my official card, and Ian Happ let me down. Not getting a hit. Went 0 for 4. So I don't have anything for this inning. This is not anything I was able to research when I got back from Kalamazoo. So do you have any hitting props for these people? I'm going to pull up Swish Analytics. I know people want home run props. I'll research it real quick, but you got anything actually already researched?
Not particularly, and normally I would like to find a pitcher that gets hit by multiple guys on the same team, right? So, if we're going to find a certain pitcher that is getting hit by 4 White Sox, or whatever. I don't necessarily see that today. I see a pretty mixed bag. I don't know. I mean, maybe a couple of these Diamondbacks against German Marquez, such as Ketel Marte or as Christian Walker. But again, nothing overly outstanding to me, at least in topically looking at numbers.
I would say Marte jumped out when I'm looking at it, and I actually like Charlie Blackmon today up against Madison Bumgarner. I know it's lefty on lefty, but boy, he's got some great numbers. He's hitting 340 against Bumgarner in his career. And the other one that jumped out, you mentioned it was Marte there, the Arizona Diamondbacks. So that would be a same game parlay. But I do like both of those guys to get a hit, and I'm sure that comes in at plus money. In terms of home runs, nothing jumps out. The best guy today is Miguel Cabrera up against Corey Kluber. He's got 6 home runs, but 72 at bat, so nothing, not too great. No real dingers today that really jump out. Let's go ahead and move to the 6th inning. We call it It's a Steal. Try and give these guys a steal. I'll jump in because I actually do have something prepared. I got a Nerfie. I try and give out a Nerfie of the day here in this spot, and I've got one. I tell you what, guys, I looked at this Nerfie and I said, man, I wonder what this price is going to be, because I like to do my research first. I don't like the price to dictate whether I'm going to buy something. I like the stats to dictate whether I'm going to buy something, and then go look at the price and see if it makes sense. Stats-wise, I was like, boy, I think we're going to be paying minus 130, maybe minus 120. But because of the name, I think we're getting a great price at plus 112 for this Nerfie. It's Red Sox, Royals. That's your Nerfie of the day. It's plus 112. You got Winkowski on the mound here for the Red Sox in 9 starts. He's only given up 1 run, 5 hits, 4 Ks. We've backed Zach Greinke a few times in his Nerfies. He's done nothing but come through for us in 17 starts. He's only allowed 4 runs, 3 home runs, unfortunately, so that's what we got to avoid. Here is the long ball, 12 hits and 14 Ks. Neither of these starters has faced today's opponents. These two teams rank 28th and 26th, respectively, in hitting versus right-handed pitching. Currently, right now, the teams rank 20th and 25th in terms of runs scored in the first inning. So the perception is the Red Sox like to score a lot in the first inning, but they rank 20th in the league in runs scored in the first inning. You give me this bet at plus 112 with these stats. We've had these stats and paid minus money, minus 120s. We've paid minus 125s for these stats. At plus 112, sign me up for these stats. I don't care who the two teams are. I love the stats. So plus 112 for me. Nerf of the day. It's Red Sox. It's Royals. Bet it. Let's sweat and let's cash. You got anything for steal today?
I'll give out two of these games under the steal category only because I have, I guess, analysis and historically backed systems that would say the over would only cash around 41 to 43% of the time. So flip that on its head. We're leaning towards the under, and it deals with games that are at a line of 8.5. And it leans towards the under. And there's two games that fit this whole criteria today. That is the Colorado Rockies and the Arizona Diamondbacks to go under 8.5, which at DraftKings, at least, the line just moved from a minus 120 under 8.5 down to under 8. So that line movement is correct. It's proper, at least. It makes sense. And the other game is the Dodgers and the Padres. You have Tony Gonsolin. You have a home favorite there. And if the home favorite is leading, well, then there's a percentage of the game that's not being played because you don't have to take last at-bats in the bottom of the ninth inning, right? So that's something that we definitely like. Grabbing you money distributions here if you care to know about them or what they are. It would be Rockies, Diamondbacks. Not great on the money for the under. Well, either game, really. Is there any reason to look at these games and from a public perspective, think over? Because you got 80% of the tickets on the over on those games.
Yeah, I'll be giving out a little bit later on. I'm on that Dodgers F5 team total. They're seeing Sean Manaea. Rocked him earlier this season. They're the third best team right now versus left-handed pitching. I'm all on the Dodgers scoring a lot of runs and covering their F5 team total.
So I guess I'm siding with the statistics, the historically backed system, and then it would be a public fade if I'm seeing 80% of the tickets coming in on the overs. The angle that I'm going to take in either of those games between the Rockies and Diamondbacks, Padres, Dodgers, under 8.5 in either or both.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's move to seventh inning. We call it coming to a stretch. We'll give you guys our best bet of the day. Why don't you hit the people with that best bet of the day that you tease as a 1.5 unit play? Let's hit it. Let's hear it.
Yep. So I have 64% or 60 to 64% indicators on the Boston Red Sox with Winkowski going against Greinke. And similarly, I think they're fairly even from what I can tell in terms of statistics, right? I mean, ERAs fairly close, records fairly close. It's not particularly about that. About the starting pitching as it normally would be. But for whatever reason, on top of my 60% systems, and I don't know if that's something that other people are seeing as well, you're finding sharp action, 60% of bets, 80% of the money currently on the Red Sox. And if I'm expecting them to cash at a 60% rate and I'm getting a minus 110 or minus 115, you're talking about a massive edge in implied probability versus the expected probability. And to me, in terms of a valuable play, that is the absolute largest one that I could find on the entire board today. So here's a bit of advanced betting tips or tricks for you, I guess. Have you ever heard of the Kelly criterion before, Jason?
Mm-hmm. I've heard of it. I've heard of it. It's been a while.
So I won't go super in depth. Essentially, all it does is it's telling you based on some sort of either positive EV, right, or your expected value compared to the implied probability that the book is giving you. If you were to bet with Kelly criterion, it's a mathematical formula that dictates how much of your bankroll you should play per game instead of having a fixed unit size, right? So if somebody's a $50 or $100 per unit better or $20 per unit better, that's a fixed size. This way, it creates a variable unit size so that you can take advantage of the more valuable spots and you can stay away or shy away a little bit on unit size from the thinner value. And that's the idea of Kelly criterion. if you were to use that here, you're finding a large, valuable bet. Therefore, I want to take advantage of that as it is expected to cash at a significantly higher rate than the line that I'm seeing, if that makes sense. So minus 115, I'm going 1.5 units on it here on the Boston Red Sox money line.
Nice. Let's go Red Sox. After you get no run the first inning, beat up on our guy, Zach Greinke. Beat up. Well, not let him throw many walks. I'm sure I'm going to be betting that a little bit later on. All right, my best bets, I'm going to rifle off a couple of them. I've already mentioned that Dodgers team total, hot versus left-handers. Manet is on the mound. They rocked him earlier this season. They're going to beat him up pretty bad, I think. I also like the Mariners F5 team total, over 1.5 runs. That one comes in at minus 150, so the top of my bar. This is going to be the third time Sandoval has seen the Mariners. It's going to catch up to them just out of sheer appearances. But then let's also talk about what the Seattle's doing right now versus left-handers. They're sitting top 5 in most of the categories I talk about, but in top 10, at least in all the categories I talk about. So I love what the Mariners are doing right now versus left-handers. Love what they're obviously doing here at the trade deadline, so I like that bet. Then the last one I'll give out, I kind of like the over. If you've been watching the comments section, I've been talking with a couple guys and talking about how that Yankees-Cardinals games has the over. But the Yankees are struggling a little bit versus right-handers, but Dakota Hudson is definitely a guy I think they should absolutely light up. But what I think does get light up is Nestor Cortez. These Cardinals are number 2 right now versus left-handers. They're top 3 in all the categories right now versus left-handers. I'm not scared of Nestor Cortez when you're talking about this just really, really stinking good Cardinals offense. So I'll take their team total. It's only at 1.5 runs. You can't ask me if it was at 2.5 at plus money. Okay, maybe I'll think about it. But at 1.5 runs with this Cardinals offense, with the way they're hitting left-handers right now, they've been doing it all season, but right now, top 2, top 3 in these categories that I like to speak of. Yeah, give me that one at minus 115. So there are a few bets. Let's go ahead and move to the 8th inning. We call it double play. It's time to give these guys a parlay. Why don't you kick it off here, and I'm going to go find these people a Moneyline parlay while you give these people one. Or do you have one?
Cool. I do.
Okay, cool.
You know what bothers me, though, is when I put together 2 minus 200s, and I have to have 2 games that have to win consecutively back-to-back, which I could do easily with the Houston Astros and Framber Valdez, and I could do this with the Milwaukee Brewers on the money line, and I get what? A mere plus 100? So I'm turning 2 minus 200 games into plus 100. I'm more so about the value. If we're going to parlay and give up large odds anyway, I'm going to go for the better hit. I'm going to go for the better payout. And where can I do that? Well, my best value play, obviously, is going to be the Boston Red Sox if I'm truly expecting them to come out at a 60% or higher win percentage at a minus 115. So I'm going to grab that as the first leg of my parlay, being my best bet anyway. The next bet that I'm going to make is going to be at, I guess I would buy the line or find a book that's still offering the under 8.5 in the Rockies and Diamondbacks. At a minus 120. The reason I say that is because not only is it juiced to the under, but it also is moving properly to the under, or at least the direction I would expect it to. And systematically, it would be expected to come in around 41% on the over. So I guess, 59% system. This way, it gives me like a plus 242, I guess, is what I'm seeing. Instead of... if I'm going to take a risk anyway on a parlay and give up such a house edge, I would much rather go for 2.5 times payout than just a unit.
Okay.
I can bet on anything in here and get a unit back out of it myself.
Right. All right.
So.
All right, for my double play, I'm going to go ahead and take this Rays over the Detroit Tigers. Look, Tigers 27th right now versus right-handers. They've been struggling all season long versus right-handed pitching. Cashed another bet yesterday with the Tigers versus left-handers. If you're not on that trend, I'd say get on it, but you only got about 2 months. Well, we've been cashing that one for the first 4 or 5 months. That one's been great. But they're up against a right-hander today in Corey Kluber, so I'll take the Rays money line, and I'm going to parlay them with the Mariners. They got Robbie Ray on the mound. It's not so much Robbie Ray. It's just this team cannot hit left-handed pitching. They haven't done it all season long. They're still struggling. They're still sitting 28th below the Mendoza line at .178, and all their other stats of slugging and on base fall in the same line as the bottom 5 of the MLB. So if you take the Rays, if you take the Mariners, you can go ahead and get that at plus 123. I don't know if that's the best price. I just looked it up on BetUS real quick just to give us a price. So that's plus 123 over on BetUS. Let's hit the closer. We call it 9th inning. We do the closer. Let's give these guys our bets, and then let's talk about everything every single game in rapid fire. I'll throw my bets up. I'm on a lot of F5 team totals. You guys know that's what I do. Let's see if we can call this the Cardinals today, over 1.5 runs at minus 115. The Mariners over 1.5 runs at minus 150. Reds over 1.5 runs at minus 120. Rockies over 1.5 runs at minus 140. Dodgers is the lone one there of over 2.5 runs at minus 105. And NRFI of the day, gosh, I absolutely love it. Red Sox, Royals, plus 112. And make sure you follow me on Twitter. It's at WinningBetsPod. More bets will come out. I've mentioned a couple of leans, some spots that I'm eyeing. Certainly going to be firing out some more bets. So make sure you follow me on Twitter. You got a nice card right there. Let's hear it.
Yes, sir. That's going to be the Red Sox money line. I just got a question there by Hill in the chat. It was the money line, not the run line, for the Red Sox. That's a 1.5 unit play with 3 or 4 systems. I don't remember if it was 3 or 4. Either way, it's excellent when you're expecting them to come in historically at 60 or 64% of the time. So, you try to increase that value, take advantage of a line that is expected to cash at a significantly higher rate than you're finding in the money line. Part of it may have to do with the fact that they're the away team. Part of it may have to do with Winkowski's ERA. I'm not totally sure, but the money's there, the systems are there, and so am I. So moving on, the Astros run line. So to win by 2 runs or more with Framber Valdez, significant starting pitching edge there against someone I'm very unfamiliar with, and most people probably are, unless you watch minor league baseball. I don't even remember his name off the top of my head. Doesn't really matter. They're the away team. They're the favorite, and that's all that matters for this game, as it's expected to cash at a pretty high rate as well. Lastly, moving to the Brewers run line, home team favorite. Not something we generally love to do, but once again, we're going against the Reds. It's the Reds, right? That's who they're playing. The Reds, horrible bullpen, and a Robert Duggar, who, again, we're a little bit unfamiliar with. I think he's only had 3 outings, 2 against the Pittsburgh Pirates, didn't fare too well, and 1 against the Minnesota. Why did I just try to say the Minnesota Wild? I don't know, because I got hockey on the brain, and it's coming up in about a month and a half here. We're going to have preseason starting September 15th. And everything I do for the rest of baseball season will be free at hockeysquirrel.com. So if you want an additional video, if you forget what the bets were, if you want written analysis, go check out my website at hockeysquirrel.com. And membership will restart September 15th when the preseason NHL season starts. Nice. Going to be a lot of additional great valuable content there, such as educational courses. I've started writing a book now, actually. Little ebooks will be coming out, all kinds of new cool things there to check out that are a ton of added value and very worth the price.
Love that. And as always, all that information is in this video description. Let me hop over to BetUS so we can have some live lines when we talk through rapid fire. We go money line, run line, over under respective. While I'm pulling that up, Money Making Mike wants you to run for president, so get your application in. You got 1 vote.
Oh, damn. There we go.
You got to vote. My man, Money Making Mike. Appreciate that comment.
Wow.
Get it in there. All right, let's go ahead and run through this. The only day game today is Marlins and Cubs. We got no starter for the Marlins. We got Cubs throwing out Steele with an over-under of 7.5. Marlins plus 120. Cubs minus 140 with an over-under of 7.5 in Chicago. That wind has got to be blowing in. That being said, I'll take the Cubs, and obviously we don't know who the Marlins are starting. I mean, it's not Alcantara, so
take the under. Yeah. There's a website called Wind Blowing In, I think, or something like that. Wind Blowing Out. I don't remember what it's called. Windblowingout.com. That's what it's called. And it's literally a website that's dedicated solely to where the wind is blowing at Wrigley Field.
Nice. I'm just going to do the Cubs money line. I mean, it's the better team. Marlins,
Sure.
I mean, they're so shitty they ain't even announced a starter yet. They don't even know what they're going to do today. So get out of here.
Okay, well, I'll take the under. Came out at 8, moved to 7.5. Proper movement. There is a professional under Wrigley Field system that has a 61% win rate and a 16% ROI that you would be betting against if you were to take the over. So, give me the under there with a 61% win rate at Wrigley.
All right, Nationals and Phillies are up next with an over-under of 9. Nationals plus 165, Phillies minus 195. Phillies aren't worth a minus 195 price. I mean, I agree with you on that. Nationals, we don't know anybody can win. Phillies are not a minus 195 team currently, not with their hitting stats and stuff. So I will go under 9 for that game. Nationals, Phillies, under 9.
I'll chance it on the Nationals with the amount of steam and everything I'm seeing anyway. And if you're telling me that they're not a 195 team, then that would, to me, mean that there's some sort of value at least on the Nationals. And do I truly actually expect them to win? It's not about that. I don't bet on a team because I expect them to actually win or not. I bet on a team merely because of the numbers and am I getting value? And in this case, I do believe that there's some sort of value attached to that game.
That's definitely where I differ than a lot of people that handicap, and that's why it's so great. That's why we know the viewing audience isn't only tailing me, or not only tailing you, they're tailing other people. But I definitely differ. I definitely differ with that statement and that philosophy a touch.
So listen though, right? The game came out for the Nationals, opened around plus 190 roughly. Games plus 175 now. You have 17% of the tickets, 71% of the money on the Nationals. Steam on the Nationals. You have my own, I think, underdog systems plus, again, 45% win rate, 8% ROI. So if you plug that into a calculator at plus 170, right? Let's see, or plus 175 would give you a 36% implied odds from the book. If you're expecting them to win 45% of the time, and you're being offered 36%, it creates a valuable proposition. Now, the psychology of that is that people can't wrap their head around, I'm only going to win 40% of the time, and yet I'm going to make money. Because losing 60% of the time feels like shit, and it leads to people overbetting, it leads to people chasing, it leads to people going all in, and this is how you blow a bankroll, because we can't understand how we can only win 4 out of 10 times and still come out profitable, right? It feels so bad to like actually go through that on a daily basis of 100 bets and you've only won 40, but you still made money. So if you're in this for ROI, quit worrying about what your win percentage is. Quit looking to these guys that are 70, 80% winners, because more than likely they're not. That's a lie, first off, right? But it's possible to lose money ROI-wise winning 60% of the time. And it's possible to win money ROI-wise winning 40% of the time. So whether you actually think that the Nationals are going to win or not, it's a valuable proposition.
The two things I'll say to that is the first part about you're saying they, the 4 out of 10 in terms of winning.
Yes.
That person has to man up and bet it all 10 times. You can't sit there and
Absolutely.
suffer 3 loss. And that's where people go
Absolutely.
off the rails is if you're doing
it's
this.
It's a psychological game.
Yeah,
it's not. It's emotional control, and it's a psychological game. And that is why the sports books win.
Yeah.
Because the perception there is today, the Yankees, the Astros, the Brewers, we got to, these minus 200s, 250, minus 300, they can't possibly lose. Jacob deGrom at minus 370 and the Mets, they can't possibly lose. They're at home. And shit, it happened, and it continues to happen. I've seen people lose minus 1,000, minus 2,000 plays on college football, college basketball, what have you, and then they complain that their parlay didn't hit on the 10th leg or whatever. It's like, quit putting your money into like virtually 0% return expectation, and just quit doing stupid stuff at the end of the day, right?
Gotcha. I'm not going to do it. I'm tailing you, my man.
Okay.
Let's keep it moving here with Pirates and Orioles. Over under of 8.5. We got a Pirates at plus 130. Orioles at minus 150. I'm going to go Orioles run line plus 130.
I'll take the Orioles money line. I'll pay the juice at a minus 150.
Astros and Guardians over under of 8.5. Astros minus 205. Guardians plus 175. Let's see.
This is a tough one to me.
I'll do Astros
Might be
run line.
You'll do the what?
Run line. Astros run line.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going down a different list than you. I thought we were talking Braves and Mets. I totally didn't listen. Yeah, Astros run line for sure. That's one of my actual official bets.
For that Braves and Mets game, you mentioned over on BetUS. I'm seeing an over-under of 8.5. Braves plus 125. Mets minus 145. I like the over 8.5 in that game.
Yeah, this is where I said it was a tough one. Could you expand upon that? Like, what is making you like the over 8.5?
I like pitcher familiarity, and I obviously like both of these offenses. Of course, if I'm doing rapid fire, I'm saying over 8.5. But everybody knows if I was actually put in a real bet, I would do the F5 over. Bullpens are a little tougher to hit. I think both of these starting pitchers, though, can get hit with the offenses they're facing with the familiarity they're going to see. So I would do an F5
Familiarity over. In what sense? Like they've pitched against each other recently, or just like they've played a lot against these teams over the years, or like where's the familiarity coming from?
All of it. All of it.
Okay.
I mean,
cool.
Yeah, all of it.
I will trust you there because I admittedly didn't really look into that game too much.
Ian Henderson, let me see what he did. I know he went up against, I know he's already faced the Mets. It was way back. 2021.
Way back in the day, dude.
Way back in the day. All right, let's see what this next game is. Let's keep it going here. We've got Rays and Tigers. Rays and Tigers with an over-under of 8. Rays minus 205. Tigers plus 175. Garcia and Kluber. I'll do the Rays run line. Minus 120.
My question to you is what wind speed needs to be traveling in or out for you to feel like it makes a difference? Like, I think 10 miles an hour or over either direction makes some sort of a difference to me.
I've never handicapped wind, so I don't have an answer because I've never factored that in any handicapping. So
I remember, I think 2 years ago, I was looking at MLB systems from a perspective of totals, and the wind speed that affected a total on the over or the under the most, the sweet spot was 8 miles an hour.
8 miles an hour,
or out. That was the sweet spot was 8 miles an hour in or out. So anything over that, I would think, should increase the degree of. The only reason I ask is because we're at a 6 mile an hour wind in on the Detroit game, and I see a lot of money on the under. So I was just curious as to why when the ERAs aren't great. We're talking 4 or 5 ERAs and whatnot. Could be because of the name of Kluber, I guess. But you're getting an away favorite again, right? So you were on the Tampa Bay run line.
Yeah, for the rapid fire, but for the parlay, I was on him for the money line perspective.
Okay, yeah, I'll take the run line.
Love that win stat you brought in there. Good stuff, man. White Sox and Rangers with an over-under of 7.5. We got the White Sox at minus 180. Got the Rangers at plus 155. I like the over in this game. White Sox coming in with the top 5 offense versus right-handers. Rangers sitting at number 11. I'll take over 7.5.
And again, we're getting an away favorite, right? So this should be a very good run line, actually, in terms of it should be plus money.
It is even money. On BetUS,
cool. I'll take that. With Dylan Cease, you're getting like a 2 ERA versus a 5.5. Yep, I'm cool with that.
Reds and Brewers over under of 8.5 on BetUS. Reds plus 195. Brewers minus 230. Another game in which I see the over. Give me over 8.5.
We're on the Brewers game.
Yeah.
Then I'll stick with my my home team run line on the Brewers.
Okay, Blue Jays and Twins up next. Over under of 8.5. Blue Jays minus 125. Twins coming at plus 105. I'll stick with them being my best long shot of the day. I like Twins at plus 105.
Yep, I was on them yesterday. Yesterday, my reasoning solely, and I even wrote this if you follow my analysis or whatever, it had nothing to do with going, Alek Manoah, right? It had nothing to do with the starting pitching that we had an edge, because how often are you going to get an edge over Alek Manoah? Not very, maybe not at all. And it had nothing to do with the statistics of the offense, because the Toronto Blue Jays are like a top 3, right? Mm-hmm. It had everything to do with reverse line movement. That game felt so low in price at a minus 120 for Alek Manoah and everything you were getting. The fact that they had come out significantly higher, got 90% of the money, and fallen like 20 cents. It didn't work out yesterday. It was a 2-3 game till the 8th inning. I thought it was a closer game than it ended up looking like at a 9-2 score. You throw Malley in there against Barrios. Off the top of my head, I think Barrios has like a 5-something ERA. I would back the Twins here again today.
Remember, Barrios was one of those pitchers I shared a couple weeks ago that had one of the worst F5 ERAs in all of MLB. So,
Yep.
I like
Yeah,
the Twins today.
I would for sure back the Twins again today. Yep.
Red Sox and Royals over under of 9. Red Sox minus 115. Royals minus 105. I'm going to take the under. I talked about when I justified the NRFI, poor hitting teams versus right-handers. I'll take the under in Red Sox Royals.
Cool. As you know, I'm on that Red Sox money line for 1.5 units.
Yankees and Cardinals up next with an over-under of 8.5. Yankees minus 155. Cardinals plus 135. I'll take the over in this game. I'll take the chance that even though the Yankees offense may scuffle a little bit versus right-handers, Dakota Hudson's a guy that they should be able to hit pretty hard. So I'll take the over in Yankees Cardinals over 8.5.
That's where all the movement is, on the over. So I like that rather than trying to pay a minus 155, especially if you're you've already stated that you think the Cardinals may rock Cortez a bit.
Yeah. Cool. And the money's on the over as well. Good stuff there. Rockies and Diamondbacks over under of 8. Rockies plus 110. Diamondbacks minus 130. I'll take the Rockies here at plus 110. That's fine. I'll do that.
Okay. Yeah, I like the under 8.5 if you can get it at any book other than currently DraftKings, who's moved to over under 8. You'd be paying minus 120 for the under 8.5, but I think that is fairly important, at least important enough to me that I would pay the 20 cents on the dollar for the under 8.5 for the half point in the total.
All right, Angels and Mariners over under of 7. Angels plus 170. Mariners minus 200. 2 lefties on the mound, and Sandoval versus Ray. Big discrepancy in hitting, so I'll take the Mariners on the run line.
Yeah, I would too.
Then the last game, Padres-Dodgers, over-under of 8.5. Did you say this money was on the over for this Padres-Dodgers? I'm seeing a lot of comments here.
It is on the over. I'm on the under, however. But,
Gotcha.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Padres plus 130, Dodgers minus 150.
Yeah, public has absolutely loaded up on the over on the Rockies, Diamondbacks, and the Padres-Dodgers, which I'm against both, statistically at least, with especially Gonsolin and having home favorites in those cases as well, where you're hoping that you don't even have to play the bottom of the ninth inning, removes a percentage of the game. Three full outs in an entire game that you don't have to worry about the game flying over or being tied or anything like that. So I'll take the under 8.5 on both of those games between the Padres, Dodgers, and the Rockies and Diamondbacks.
And I will take the Dodgers money line at minus 150. They've got the advantages over. It'll probably be sweaty, but I'll go ahead and take that Dodgers money line at minus 150. All right, and that's how we'll do it this Friday. A little bit of can't wait to just get back here on Monday. I feel like I'll be back in the normal grind, back in the normal flow. Let's have a good week though. I'm up 3.45 units this week, coming off a sweep yesterday. Gonna knock those bets out of the ballpark that are hanging over there on your left. I'm going to add some more to it later on this afternoon on Twitter. So make sure you're giving us both a follow. Check over on the hockeysquirrel.com. All that information is down in this video description. See all the great work that he's doing over there. Enjoy your weekend, guys. And we'll see you back here on Monday on the payoff pitch. Let's cash.
Absolutely.